Today we're going to tackle 8 do-it-yourself maintenance and repair items. Below you'll find the timestamp for each item that we discuss in the video. So if you're looking for a specific item, it'll be in the description below. And any other links that we discuss in the video, those will be in the description below as well. So Stacy, do your magic.
First up on the DIY list is Phil's given me a new throne.
Yes, Your Grace.
I am queen of my castle, right? So I deserve the best throne possible. The toilet we have now, I hate it so much. Mainly we're switching it out because it's no longer sealing. We've tried to make adjustments, but it just won't hold a tight seal. So that's the main reason it's getting out of here. There are 2 other reasons I hate that toilet and have been wanting to switch it out even before the seal issue. First up is when it rinses the bowl, it has these teeny tiny little jets in the back of the toilet, and so it only mainly rinses the back. The whole bowl doesn't get a good rinse. And the second reason is because the seat itself is curved and it's hollow, so it has all these ribs underneath, and cleaning it is near impossible. So we chose the Dometic Model 310. When we get it all installed, we're going to show you what we love most about it. But for now, let's put Phil to work.
So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off the water pump. And we're not connected to city water, so I don't have to go outside and turn that off. As long as the pump's off, we shouldn't have any water coming to the toilet, but I am going to flush it and get whatever water's in the line out. Water should be out of the line. First thing is getting the water line off. I have a towel back here just in case there's any water seepage. A little bit, not bad. All right. There's a little bit of water in there. Okay. All right, so I have the water line detached and the 2 bolts or the nuts off the bolts holding it to the floor. So it's loose. It's ready to be lifted off the floor. However, now comes the part that I hope I don't need my gloves for. So I'm going to attempt to pull it off the floor and set it inside a plastic bag without dripping any water or anything that could be on the bottom of it all over the bathroom floor. All right, I'm going to lift it up and into the bag. Easy peasy. Look at that. Alright, here we go. It's on there, a little wobbly. Before I put this toilet on, I spared you the dirty details. I did clean up the flange area a little bit before I put this back on there. And I did swap out my gloves, so I had clean gloves on touching the clean toilet. So now I'm going to tighten the bolts down, make sure it's nice and snug to the floor, and then I'm going to reattach the water line, and fingers crossed we should be good. So the last thing I'm going to do is turn the water back on and give it a flush or 2 and see if she's got any leaks anywhere. Look at that. You got water at the very top. All right. See how she's holding water? That looks good. All right, so now I'm going to, I want to check and make sure there's no water leaking in the backside of it. We are drip and leak free. Looks like the toilet is holding the water where it should be. Main reason we chose the Dometic 310 is it has the jets, the water jets, all along the top of the toilet. So the water's going to come out in a circular pattern from the top and push everything down. Where our old one, if you saw in the video, where it just kind of sprayed in the back and got half the bowl. So this is going to help keep the bowl cleaner. And also, the seat itself has no ribs, so this one will be much easier to keep clean. And then the other great feature is the toilet seat and the lid both just slowly close. They're quiet closing lids. So Stacy should be happy on her new throne. Next on the DIY to-do list is to change out my nightshade motor. It's acting very weird. It only works intermittently and I have to keep pushing the button like so. Push it, push it, push it. And as you can see, it has a mind of its own. So I'm going to swap out the old motor with the new motor, And I've done the sunshade motor already. I did that last year, and I'm not going to bore you with the step-by-step details on this install. So I'm going to link the video to the solar shade install that we did. And it's, if I can do it, anybody can do it, trust me. One of my maintenance items that I frequently take care of are my locks around the RV, to include the bike rack and my hitch locks. These in particular, because they're on the back of the RV and they're more susceptible to the water and the dirt and the road grime and whatever else is thrown up while we're driving. So for my locks back here, I use the 3-in-1 lock dry lube, and it gets in there, it penetrates, it loosens up the locks and keeps them nice and lubed on the inside, if you will. And then I'll check it with my key and make sure that everything is working well. Cycle it once or twice. One of the reasons I like the 3-in-1 lock dry lube is that it dries pretty fast and it doesn't attract dirt back here, and that's a big problem driving down the road, kicking up the debris. So as you notice, I did spray the key before I inserted it into the lock, just to make sure that the tumblers on the inside of the locks got even coating of the lubricant itself. One of the few things that I think I can tackle on my own is changing the oil in my generator, the oil and air filter. So that's what I'm going to attempt today. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my Cummins approved air filter. I'm going to change it out first. I've got the outer wing nut holding the case. Remove that. And then there's another wing nut holding the air filter cover in place. Let me take that off. Air filter plate, wing nut. Remove the old filter. And these are recommended to be changed out every 500 miles or 500 hours of use. So we're there. I think we're overdue, actually. You can see the difference between the old and the new. This one's very clean, it's new. This one's been used for a minute. We'll put this in. And pushed it in place. So now I'm going to put the cover back on. Just like that, air filter's changed. Alright, so the first thing I have to do is run the generator, get the oil up to temp for a few minutes, and then I'll cut it back off, let it cool for a second, and then I can drain the oil. So let me start the generator. Alright, now onto the oil change. So I've got my oil collection bucket here. The oil drain plug is right here, so I'm going to undo this, drip it into the bucket, and then under this cover here is where the oil filter is. Alright, so oil is drained, plug is back in and tight. Now I'm going to open up the panel, and I've got to get the oil filter, which is up inside here. Yeah, alright. So I can get my hand up there. It does turn. Alright, now I will take my Fram oil filter, and this was cross-referenced with the ONE part. I went to Advanced Auto and they cross-referenced the ONE part. So, take a little, clean my fingers, take a little oil, put it around the gasket, as such, create that seal. And manipulate it back up in there. Alright, that's good and hand tight. I didn't crank it down. Alright. Close the lid. That's it from this side. Now we get to go out and clean everything up. Now I'm ready to add the Valvoline oil back to the generator. This one is approved by Cummins, so that's why I went with it. I'm going to add 3 quarts of this, and then I'll check it, make sure we're good. All right, right where it should be, and we're good. So I ran the generator for a few minutes, just checking for leaks underneath. Good to go, no leaks. I did put the tarp back under there so that I could tell if there was a leak real easy. And if there was a leak, I would catch it on the tarp and not on the ground, because I'm sure they would frown upon that. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and check it again and just make sure the level is where it should be, and I don't need to add any more to it. So, all right, right where it should be, and we're good. Now that all that's done, I'm going to document the hours. 974 hours on here. So 150 hours from now, I'll redo it again. My monthly maintenance tasks also include doing my slide seals. And that's inspecting them and making sure they're clean and they're not cracking. And what I like to use on them is the 3-in-1 RV-Care Rubber Seal Conditioner, which provides a layer of UV protection, and it helps keep the seals nice and moist and prevents cracking. So you just simply spray it on, and then you wipe the excess off. And of course, I'll do that all the way down the slide seal. All right, today we're going to change out our shower head. The one that we have currently fell one drive and the top of it cracked. So water leaks out the top, and then the on-off switch doesn't completely shut off the water. And when we turn it off, there's a steady stream coming. So we're really not saving much water. So we're going to swap that out for this guy right here. All right, so I've got my pieces here. I've got the new shower hose, shower head, and the water shutoff. Now I'm going to apply a little bit of tape to the threads, just so we don't have any leaks. One wrap should do it on here. And then I'm going to put a piece on the base of the shower head as well. You know, I always do these backwards. I know there's a certain way you're supposed to do it so that it doesn't come off when you're threading whatever you're attaching. Alright, so I'm going to add this piece. Then I'm going to add the shower hose. Alright, now before I add this hose, I'm going to take the other hose off and then put a piece of this tape around that. So let's go inside the shower and take that one off. Alright, so now we'll attach the new shower head. Alright, so I've got it connected. I'm trying the on-off switch, and as you can see, the switch is off and I still have water trickling out. So, thumbs down on that.
So we've had the oxygenic shower head for over a month now, and obviously I've had the chance to use it quite a few times, and I gotta tell you, I'm not in love with it. This thing cost us 60 bucks, and compared to the old one, I think I like the old one better. The old shower head was a low flow shower head, but it didn't aerate it to create more pressure for us, which is what this one does for that extra money. This one has a neck on it that's very awkward in the shower for us adjusting heights, and for when I'm showering without washing my hair, it's difficult to do, and women, you know how important that is on a non-hair washing day. Now, as far as Phil, when he's showering, he has to raise the shower head really high, and then the spray is so strong, water goes on the ceiling, it goes over the shower, onto the floor, so water's going everywhere. So if I had to rate this for pressure, I'm going to give it a 9. But for everything else about this shower head, I'm giving it a 5. To me, it's not worth the money. If I had to do it all over again, I would have just gotten a low flow shower head instead of spending the $60 for the aeration. So if you have one of these shower heads, let us know what you think and let us know if you would buy it all over again.
One of my more important maintenance checkoff items is getting up here on the roof, inspecting the seals, inspecting the roof just in general. And then once I clean it, I apply my 303 UV protectant, and I'm really conscious about applying this because I definitely do not want to have to repair my roof or replace it before it's time. And so coming up here and inspecting it was a good thing this time because we found that one of our MaxxAir vent covers is missing, broke clean off. We hit some trees in our last outing when we were leaving, and we didn't realize that we knocked off or broke off one of our MaxxAir vent covers. Nor did we see it hit the Jeep behind us or hear it, anything. But we obviously hit something big that caught it and ripped it off. So just another indication that it's imperative that you get up on your roof, inspect it, check it, clean it, stay on top of the maintenance. If you want to know more about how I maintain the roof, check out our annual maintenance video, which will be linked below. Another do-it-yourself item is troubleshooting. Sometimes you're going to have issues that pop up and you're going to need to run them to the ground before you make a call. So one of my troubleshooting issues today is playing with the water pump. We've been having problems with it where it sounds like it's still running. You'll get the small brr, 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 even after the water is turned off. I can't hear it, but Stacy can hear it and it drives her crazy. So I do have another pump as a spare in case something does happen to this, especially when we're boondocking. But before I just swap it out completely, I want to try to figure out if there's a problem actually with the pump or if I have a leak with either water or air somewhere in the system. Turn on the pump, run a little water just to get the pump to activate. All right, so the pump just activated. And as you can hear, the pump is still working. It's still pushing water through somewhere. And it'll do that for about a minute or so, and then it stops. We haven't noticed any leaks on the inside, so reading the manual on this SureFlow water pump, you know, it said to check the obvious loose connections at the pump and the strainer. So that's what we're going to start with. All right, so I'm just going to check the connections, make sure they're good and tight. Well, they turned a little bit, so they weren't as tight as they could be. So we'll get those nice and tight. All right, so I turned the water off, leading on the inlet side from water from the pump into the rig, so that when I took the strainer off, I didn't have water running freely. So here, there's something in it. Big old plastic. There's plastic in here. Yeah. And it looks like just bits of plastic in there. I don't think this is causing any kind of clog. But I'll rinse this out and clean it real good, and then I'll put it back on. All right, so I tightened the water lines on the pump. I took the strainer off, cleaned it, ran the water through again, and the pump is still running after the fact. You could hear the burp, burp. It's almost like it's burping. Can't see any visible leaks out here. So the next step is I'm going to go inside. I'm going to check all the water lines to the sinks, to the shower, to the refrigerator, washer, dryer, or washer, and the water heater, and we'll see if there's any kind of leak coming from those areas. So troubleshooting continues. We've gone through the entire rig. We've checked all the water connections, made sure they were tight, no obvious signs of leaks anywhere. We made a phone call to Tiffin, talked to them. They tried to walk me through a couple things, and I had already done those. So what we came down to was need to swap out the pump. So I'm going to take the old pump out, put the new pump in, and cross our fingers that we don't get any more burping after we stop running the water. All right, so the first thing I did is I killed the 12-volt switch by the front door to cut off power to the pump. So turn the pump on, does not come on. We've run the water through it up in the rig, so we know that it's off and it's not running. So the next thing I'm going to do is turn off the water coming into the pump here, just to make sure we don't get any residual from the tank. So I'm just going to take these 2 wire nuts off where the wires are connected. This one and this one. There's only 2 wires that are connecting. Good. So power has been disconnected, so now I'm just going to disconnect the water lines. Alright, so water lines have been disconnected. Next, I'm going to unscrew the 4 screws, holding it down. Alright, so I'm removing the old strainer and putting it on the new pump, as the new pump didn't come with one. Alright, so I'm going to put a little plumber's tape on my connections here, so when I reattach it, I don't get any leaks. Alright, that looks like it's on pretty tight. So this should be a pretty straightforward install. Just these 2 wires connect to the red and black wires respectively on the rig. We attach the water lines and bolt it back down and we're good. Alright, she's bolted down. Now I'm going to start connecting the water lines. Get them on good and tight. So now I'm connecting the wires back together. Alright, so I'm going to connect this one. And then I'm going to wrap this one around it. And then hopefully the wire nut catches them. That one's there. We're going to put the black on. I don't know if that was in the middle, but we'll see. I don't know if I have enough. I may have to strip that. Alright, so they're all connected. Good. Everything's good and tight. Moment of truth. Stacy went and hit the 12-volt switch, so we should have power. I'm going to turn it on, and then I'm going to run some water through the shower head and see what we get. Let it pressurize. Okay, pressurize. Now I'm going to turn the shower head on. Run, turn it off. No more burping. So that was our issue, was the pump. Something on the inside with the pressure valve, according to the Tiffin Tech, might have gone bad. So we've got the new pump installed. It's all quiet. Stacy won't hear anything now, so I think we have a successful water pump install. Alright, so I'm done with my maintenance and my do-it-yourself stuff. And I just want to reiterate, don't be afraid to get in there and tackle these things. I am not an electrician, nor am I a plumber, nor would I have done any of this in my sticks and bricks. I would have made a phone call and had somebody come out and fix it for me. But when you're on the road and this is your house and you just need to get out there and learn the systems, learn how to do these things. I don't like electricity, I don't like messing with it, but as you can see, how I did this was really simple. I mean, it was a few steps and it was swapped out. The troubleshooting methods that I used as well just helped rule out that there was no leak anywhere inside the rig. So again, doing your maintenance, doing the do-it-yourself type stuff that you can tackle, it's self-gratifying to know that you've done this and that you fixed it. It didn't cost a dime other than maybe the part. You know, I am not a professional by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm getting better and I'm feeling more confident each time I tackle something. I hope this video was helpful. So thanks for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button down below. And just remember, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and our village. And until next time, we'll see you on the road. There's all the pieces.